that the idea of being self-sufficient and completely independent is a lie. There are so many of us are living abroad and like questioning our identity.
Welcome back, everyone. We're so delighted to do what I like to do on a Friday, typically during the week, wherever I am in the world, which is to talk about art. And we have the pleasure of welcoming Majka Tkáčiková, who is Slovakian by heritage and beginning, but now belonging here in Barcelona. And from what I understand, you are starting to split more and more time in a 50-50 manner.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's not 50-50 yet, but that's the goal where I'm heading. I'm spending maybe like 70% of my time in Barcelona and then having like very intense short moments during the year in Slovakia.
How wonderful. Can you take us back to your childhood? And tell us maybe like, what was it that brought you and called you to the art world?
Well, I'm coming from countryside in Slovakia that is like, it's an Eastern European, Central/Eastern European country. So also the public places doesn't look that attractive, I would say. Like there is this aesthetic of some gray post-Sovietic era, and everything is a little bit like it's not so much care that is taken of public spaces, of the squares or anything that can be considered urban area. So also always when I was in the countryside and I saw around myself so much beauty and the rivers and forest and so on, and I was coming to the city, I was like, why is that not a common thing there? Like, why there is no beauty around me? Why people living in the city are completely disconnected from the nature? Wow. Why there are no places that invite you to sit together and to like have an interaction or like some kind of excuse to spend your time outside? We are not really used to spending our time in public space. We don't use it. When we want to hang out, we go to the nature. And I was when I was a child, I was growing up in the nature and in the countryside. And my parents are a bit older, so my grandparents are even more older. So there is like a gap of generation when it comes to like how young am I and how old are my parents and grandparents.
Sure.
And so I could see this lifestyle of very much like having self-sufficiency. Like grandparents, they were just taking advantage of everything what's around them, and they were capable to create whatever they needed from the resources around them. And I think that inspired me to be really like interested in craft, interested in creative energy, interested in making something happen and taking what is around you and turning it and transforming into another thing. And then when I was pushed or I had to go to the school, to the city, or like I was traveling and I saw the cities around the country and so on, I was always very surprised. Like, how come we have so much beauty and autosufficiency and creativity in the countrysides and our cities are just not welcoming? So I remember like when I was a child having these memories of like me just like having fantasies or like how this city could look like if I would have like a magic stick or whatever and I could paint it in colors. I could bring there, I don't know, such of simple things like benches in the square or some flowers or just anything. Like I was just like missing beauty in those spaces. And I think that's also why I end up being in South Europe. Because look at this city, like look at Spain, it's so full of colors and beauty and curves and beautiful shapes, and the cities are just like mind-blowing. They're so beautiful. So I just went from like something that was more or less gray, like chasing as colorful as it can get. Like I just wanted to be surrounded by beauty and spaces that are just like charged by life, I guess. And so I think I went like as far as I could to find like the contrast. I was never so interested in like perfectionism or minimalism of Scandinavia. That could also be a choice. I was like, on contrary, looking for colors, I guess. So that's why also I was like chasing and wanting to see how else it can be done, or how different the city can look like, how different the buildings can look like, how different a square can be organized or used, and so on. So I think I chose South because it was like this charged with this like lively energy, and that's how I end up in Barcelona, I guess.
How wonderful. You had so much depth as a child, because when I was, doing my research and looking at both your public projects where you invite the public to experience this beauty and the color and the interaction, as well as your personal work,
Yes.
It just seems so thoughtful and intentional, and you can feel the depth in it. And as someone who doesn't know much about art but likes to collect art, my approach to it is always, when I look at something, do I feel? Even if I don't understand it, do I feel something? And then I start to learn about the artist and the work and the backstory. And with you, without not much knowing much, about your work and the background, I felt. And so as you're talking about your childhood and your line of questioning and your sense of, I want this not just for me, but for my compatriots who, no matter where they live, to live in beauty and color and feeling. It's so obvious to me now where it's starting to come from. And it's so just at a glance apparent in the things that you do.
But then, I just told you something that I'm colorblind, and I saw the shock on your face. So let's do a fun exercise. Assume I am colorblind. Assume I'm fully colorblind. How would this describe color to somebody who cannot see color?
I think I would go through temperature, like that this feels cold, and or the first thing that crossed my mind is temperature, no? Because the colors are creating the sensation in our bodies. Like if we go into blue room, suddenly it's like you actually like get chilly, and so on. So I would go for temperatures. I would go for maybe like frequency, like something is more intense and like strong, and then there is calmness in other colors.
Yeah.
So I would definitely go through like, okay, let's go like physical factors like temperature, but then emotional perception of a color.
Yeah.
So something about calmness or intensity, or like nature I could also take as a reference. So when you are surrounded by green, you can think about woods and you can think about forest and so on. And so it's gonna help you understand like, okay, so there is a like connection between the space I am with that reference, so I can understand, I don't know, the context a bit better. Does it make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Because as Radin said, it's a feeling. Feeling as well. Speaking of feeling, one question we ask always is like, in which environment you feel at best when you are creating?
In what environment?
Environment, situation, mood.
Okay, I am very sensitive to noise. So I'm looking for silence or music. But living in the city center of Barcelona, it's really difficult to find a place where you can find silence. But that's something what actually, now I'm thinking about the negative. Like I am actually bothered by noise. So when I want to create, I have to be kind of protected from the outer world. So I need silence, or I need like nice music that I choose. I am also very like, obviously I would love natural light to have, so I am in contact with the daytime, but not with the noise of it. And I love to be alone when I create, but I also like presence of someone else that is also creating, and that is some kind of contagious, like before I worked in a shared studio, and there was 5 of us, and it was like many times you go and you are by yourself, but many times there are others, and it somehow was like just inspires you, or just the presence, like the living presence of someone else also going like deep into their thoughts and creating and making like themselves sure that it makes sense to create, because it, you know, to make a sculpture is not very like, you cannot justify it like, why am I making this sculpture if you don't really believe it in like it's necessary because I need to like express it, and I believe that other people can connect with what I'm doing, and I am then trying to like my objective is a connection or something, no? So I like also to be surrounded by others that are also like tripping with their ideas and making stuff, and then also we learn from each other because I see some technique or tool that the other person have and that we can exchange, and then these new magical ideas happen because I would never learn it without you. So my ideal environment where I create would be silent place with natural light and with beautiful company next to me that also believes in their ideas and projects and is honest in what they do.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I want to dig into a little bit more, since you are affected by noise and you do have a lot of like feeling in different environments. How do you translate that into your public work and exhibitions? How much of the public and kind of what you observe in their existing state of in that space do you take into consideration, and how much of your imagination and your own kind of desires like you had as a child come into
Well,
the
when
work?
it comes to the public projects I worked at, they're a bit like different, because normally it's that I work for someone that is asking me to do an intervention, and those people normally they have an objective that is very clear. So then we design the proposal according to the needs of the project, and well, I'm always trying to create some kind of safe place, or like a place where people will feel like, okay, there is some softness to it. So I'm using like textiles, and I'm using curves, or I'm using I don't know, just by shape you can also like already express an emotion. Like if it's sharp and it's cold, and if I would use metal, probably the person that wouldn't really feel like relaxed, or it wouldn't remind them the softness of home or a bed or curtains of their window or whatever. So I'm always choosing the soft materials that are very typical for household and for creating a sense of home. And then it depends on what is our objective. So for example, I worked on one project where we were trying to explore identity of the neighborhood, because it was very problematic neighborhood that is having lot of different minorities and immigrants living together that doesn't communicate between each other, and they don't really feel safe, and they don't really use public space for any like neighborhood kind of activities and so on. So we really wanted to make them think of what, and they also are a neighborhood that is not so, I don't know, like attractive or popular, so there are not too many resources. Also, like city doesn't really care, and so on. So we made them think about who they are, and it was like, okay, but if you would think about your identity, what is this neighborhood? What does it make it to be special? Or like, what would you wish for your neighborhood? What, like, we were trying to like lead them towards positive thoughts, like, okay, if you could imagine, if you would have this magical stick that I was always hoping for.
Do you have a spare one? I think I'd like one too. To just
and so we were asking, like, what are your like wishes for the neighborhood, and so my approach would be always like, make sure about what we want to create, like what we want to encourage. So if people don't feel safe normally in this neighborhood, let's make something soft and beautiful. And let's ask them about what they feel. Let's ask them about their wishes, their ideas. Let's ask them about, like, also we made like a big map, and we draw the streets of the neighborhood, and we let them to choose to tell us that, for example, like what is the place that you like to go with your loved ones? And so they put a point in one color. Then what is the place where you would go alone when you need to think? And they placed another color. And or what is the place that you are ashamed of, or what is the place that you really feel unsafe. And so we let them to tell us the story of the neighborhood by their experience, because the map as itself, it gives you like very clear information about like how the streets are connected, where is the school, where is the supermarket, but you have no idea how is living in that neighborhood. And then we filled it in with people and their stories and their thoughts, and they make us understood like the whole dynamic of the neighborhood. And it was very beautiful because it was very empowering for them, because someone asked and someone cared and someone was like pending on their answers, and so they felt important for a moment, and they felt heard, that someone listened to them. And so then we collected all this information, and we worked with the city hall to plan the interventions based on all this information that we collected. So these public projects I work on, they are normally that the installation or like this object made with textile and fabric and so on is just an excuse. It's just something to call an attention. It's like you put something big in a square so people would come closer to look at it or to touch it or to take picture of it, or like it's an excuse. It's like a call for attention. Yeah. And then we normally place like all these questions or activities or like some kind of like a map. They all look always like games, so people don't really realize that we are doing actual research and we are collecting data, because they're just playful proposals, and this way they are more motivated to answer than if I would just pass them some questionnaire on the sheet of paper. So
and answer it more honestly too, or authentically, because it's done through play and joy, so you deactivate some parts of your biases, right? Or some parts of maybe I should be doing this. The shoulds kind of quiet down, which is really cool to hear.
Yes, and it's very spontaneous. So also the answers are like, okay, the first thing that is on my mind, or bam bam. And so so those public projects are more or less like this, like making them participate and tell us their stories, and then we normally collect the data and I pass it to someone else. I'm just the medium that makes it happen, or like I am there like the messenger, no? I am there, I collect it, and then I pass the message, and then it's on authorities what kind of interventions they're gonna like project based on that.
Is the project you mentioned in Barcelona that you did, or?
This one was in Barcelona, yes. This one was actually the first one I did as a participatory project, and it was amazing because I finally got to know like real people in Barcelona, and not just the community of young, excited international people that are coming to the city to fulfill their dreams. And because before that was my environment, and I was used to going to exhibitions and preparing exhibitions and curating exhibitions and like being always in this like artsy world, and that at the end it was just us, about us, for us, and just like some kind of like parallel universe. And then when I was invited to this project, it was amazing. Like I went out of the city center, I was in like very peripheric neighborhood. I finally got to like talk to people that are coming from different parts of the world, but mostly what was different was the generations. That I got to talk to old people, that I was talking to one lady that lived in the same building for 70 years, and she was just showing on all the streets, all the trees in the street, and that she planted them, like that the city didn't even took care of the greenery of the place. She was just so this one I planted like 20 years ago, and this one when my husband died, and this one I don't know what. I was just like, whoa, like full-on social activism. This lady would not wait for anyone to solve her life. She's gonna make sure that there is some green behind her window. And finally I understood, okay, I mean, Barcelona is not just this like layer of all these international people, but I was invited to go deeper and to understand that there are so many stories, and the city is so big, and that normally we think about Barcelona and we just imagine the city center, and there is so much more to it. And so it was like, for me, the first step when I understood, like when I felt like meaning in the projects.
So how do you
Like-
compare that? Go ahead.
Sorry, the meaning. I felt meaning in the exhibitions and so on as well, but this one was like the meaning that was actually like there was some impact to it. There was some interaction with real
It left
people.
a big impression on you, it sounds like.
Sorry.
It left a really big impression on you as well.
Yes.
It wasn't that you were just trying to impact someone else's life or...
No.
You know,
And
it did it to you.
Yes, and it felt very real. So probably that was the difference.
Which is my question. Like in this case, your art or your work is an input to you actually, and then this is because it's commissioned in this particular space. But then you have your own kind of creation
Yes.
method, and then in this case, it's an output from you more than an input, I think.
Yes, exactly.
And who do you output to? Like in your mind, who are you doing this for when you're doing something?
When I'm doing something, I do it for myself as well, because there is like some restless feeling in me that needs to be taken out, and I want to communicate it because I want to be more authentic and more like solid in who I am, and to be out. Like there is certain amount of like you have to express yourself to be like to believe in you. You always have to express yourself. If you're quiet, you are not participating, you are not saying, you are not inviting for connection. You are, I mean, introverts, extroverts, so on, but there is this in me. At least I was very introverted before, and as soon as I started to express myself, or I started to materialize my ideas, I just felt empowered as I have never felt before. And I was just like, wow, there's so much in me, and this is great that I'm taking it out, because I'm letting others to get to know me, and I'm letting others to be able to connect with this, because at the end, my works are mainly about human emotions, about feeling of belonging or not belonging, about a place called home, and how in this moment that we are living, and we are so many of us are living abroad, and or like pending between a couple of cities in the world, and like questioning our identities, and like, okay, I'm talking in this language and I'm completely different, and I'm talking in this language and I'm another person, and then I'm forgetting words in my original language, and like, like what is going on? And so I am also like questioning identity and belonging and so on. And I think that I am just putting those thoughts that are very universal and they are very easy to connect to into like pieces or some narrative or like sculptures and so on. And I think that if I express it, people will feel less alone in their struggles, because they understand that, okay, I know exactly what you mean, because that's what is happening inside of me. Yeah. So probably I do it as some kind of search, or like excuse for connection, like looking for connection, and others to like help others to not to feel alone. It's very like ambitious maybe, but it's just something like that.
All right. So I was thinking about identity and belonging. I do that a lot also because I'm also with my family. We've been around since more than 20 years now outside of country. So our kids were born outside, and as a Lebanese, also the diaspora is all over the world, multi-generational now. So I always, people talk about an identity linked to a country, but I think identity is very personal. Like it's like your identity card, it's you. Mm-hmm. But then belongings can be overlapping. You can have many belongings. So do you feel that this belonging that you mentioned as well, when you do the art, is addressing people who belong to the same kind of belonging? In this case, that we are creating a bubble now that has all the people in the world that appreciate that item.
I think that I can only talk about things I experienced.
Yeah.
That it would be very. I I could not be authentic or honest talking about stories that are not mine. So I'm offering belonging to the people that have similar stories.
Mm-hmm.
So there is kind of bubble, of course, and yeah, but it is applicable and universal, but at the same time, of course, like people that connects with that, like these topics, they resonate. They're the people that went through the same experiences.
Yeah.
So probably yes, probably I'm just making art for another bubble.
I mean, I didn't mean bubble in a negative way. I mean like a circle.
But
I see it as a circle. But so the circle of people who like your art is going to become people who follow you or on your Instagram or who show up to your
But also the art is just beautiful too. You know what I mean? Like beyond, that's what I was talking about. Like as a collector's point of view, like you can appreciate a piece of art for its beauty, and then you can also sometimes there's something in that story that the artist tells where the feeling is there. Yeah. And each person, I mean, you've been to my house, right? There are works of art where people I have found so meaningful, but when friends come over, they're like, like it's not my favorite one. And it's because they don't share that thorough line of the story that the artist, has tried to relay. So bubble, it's not a negative thing. It's just it's like a visual way to draw people in, to make them feel like they're not alone.
And at the end, I can talk only to the ones that resonates and that share the language. Like it's a visual language maybe. So the people that connect to my visual language are capable to listen, and I'm capable to connect with them, and that's all right. It works the same way as the language itself. Like if you would speak another language, I cannot understand you and I cannot connect to you and I cannot get to know you. But if we share it, we can. So I think it is like, obviously we have our taste, we have our preferences, so we choose what calls us, and that's the right way to do it.
Yeah. And in terms of the other kind of belonging is the city. So I noticed that you did a bit of work in Denmark, I think, in Copenhagen before coming here. So what did you get there compared to Barcelona, like the other side of, which is, by the way, I see a lot of similarities. So I want to see from you what you think.
Well, I was in Denmark twice.
Yeah.
I went there after my university studies to go to some... it was like an institution that is focused on growth of a person, but considering a person as a wall. So it's not like you go and you learn how to paint. It's not like it's not that. It's like you go and we are gonna work on your breath work. We are gonna do some yoga. We are gonna do some body posture classes. Then you can go to the design class. You can do photographies. You can sign up for journalism. Like very wide, but thinking about the person as a human being, like that there is health, there is breathing to it, there is body, there are creative necessities or like voices inside of us, and then there is like, so it was very beautiful. I went to this institution, I won a scholarship, and I was like, wow, I'm going to Denmark, this is insane, like and then there I was like, for the first time in contact with actually creating art by hands, like with the craft studios, and they gave us cameras and we could go filming around the city, and we could then also do like analogic photography, whatever. They had everything. So I was really impressed by equipment, basically, like how many opportunities you have in school in Denmark. That was very different comparing to where I'm coming from. But as a society, I could not get it. Like I was very because I was coming from a place that is a bit chaotic, corrupted. We are not trusting each other in our country. We are a bit like afraid. Like we take care of our pertenances. Yes. We don't trust our neighbors. Like maybe I'm generalizing, but there is this like
But
we are
it's
not
really-
living in some idealistic
In Copenhagen, you leave your bicycle.
and exactly. And then I was in Denmark and I was just like, what is this?
Yeah, you don't
Why are
even-
people so like trustful? They trust each other and everything is just perfect and they stand in those lines and they just don't break any rules and they look alike and their houses look alike and they were teaching us about Denmark as it is, and they were teaching us about them being a tribe and that really like forming their kids to believe in the values of the tribe and making sure that they are aware how different Denmark is comparing to other countries. And I was just like, I felt completely like out of, I don't know, like excluded. Like it was something so different to what I was used to. So I studied there. I discovered all these like all the potential I have in myself and how good I am with working with clay and how easy it is. Like I don't have to think a second and I'm just making great things like in not objectively, but I felt that they were great. And suddenly I take a camera in my hand and I am capable to make a solid piece of like a video art or whatever. And I was like, wow, like you were probably just missing tools on your path. And suddenly there were tools and you just like were squeezing the potential. So I did that, but then I left and I moved to Spain.
Yes.
Because I wanted something more authentic, more chaotic, more less organized, more like full of surprises. Because Denmark felt very perfect, and I was just not used to that kind of perfection.
So it was like you were in a kindergarten within a very organized school. But you get to play a little bit, or a playground.
See, exactly. And but also like everyday conversations with people, like I could really see that they are like they have different mentality and beliefs and they don't understand many of the things that I was telling them about the situation in my country or like misuse of public finances or like the educational system that is falling apart or like stuff like that were tricky and they just couldn't get it. So it was difficult for me to be like, this is a place I want to live? Not really, because it's so different and I just don't think I belong. So I came to Spain. I felt much better in Spain. It's more, I don't know, spontaneous, chaotic. It's a mixture of many different cultures.
Yes, the incoming people here. Also.
Exactly, all the time. I felt like I'm one of many here. So that felt much better. But after like, I don't know, 10 years after this school, I went again to Denmark. And this time I went because I wanted. I was like, I am really tired of chaos. I want some perfection. I want to remind myself how is it in like a place where people trust each other and that finances are well organized and you can trust your government and you don't mind to pay high taxes because you know you are gonna get back what you invest and what is taken from you or whatever. And so I went there and it was super beautiful this time. Like I went more mature because probably when I went for the first time, it was just like too different from where I'm coming from. So I could not appreciate. I was more like critical and cynical, like very cynical about everything. Like, why would you stand in a line if you can just grab that apple from the table? Like, just take it. And it was like, very cynical young girl that just like was kind of frustrated by the world. But this time I went like looking for that beauty that you can find in Denmark. And I went like, and I spent 2 months in a residency there in the countryside. So of course that was also amazing. It was like honey for my soul, like just being in the countryside and all the beauty of Denmark and cold lakes that you can jump in and it was near Copenhagen, so every time when you needed some business or you wanted some interaction, then you went to Copenhagen. And then they invited me to... No, they didn't actually. I looked for a place because I created a series of work in Denmark made of Danish clay, like reflecting on what was surrounding me and all the like minimal beauty that is there. And I had this like body of work and the residency ended and I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, am I gonna just take it to Barcelona? It makes no sense. No one saw those things. And I made them from Danish clay in a Danish countryside using Danish materials, like reflecting on what was surrounding me. Like, it's so linked to the territory I cannot just put it in the boxes and send to Barcelona. That makes no sense. So I looked for a place, and I got amazing. By chance, I found a beautiful place, and they were just like 100% agreed. You have to showcase this body of work here. We let you the space, and it was insane because we were just talking by Instagram and WhatsApp, and then when I went to the gallery, they could not be there, so they just left the keys from the gallery to me.
Of course they did.
And I just went, and I was like, what is this? Okay, I opened the gallery and I brought my pieces, and there was like the office and so much equipment and everything, and I was just complete stranger with the keys in my hands, and I was like, Denmark, like you got me, like I got it, and that's why you were just like insane place. And so this time I went with gratitude, and I went with like wow, this is actually amazing, and it's so beautiful that they do trust each other, and that they stand in the lines.
And now you left part of you there that belongs to Denmark, right? Kind of.
And so something that's starting to rise up to the top, a question for me, because we chat about this often: utopias, dystopias. Where are we going as a society? Where should we be going? Denmark seems like a utopia. I personally haven't been, but from what I've understand how their society organizes, and just like how much they care for one another, there is utopic compared to the rest of the countries. And I'm starting to learn about Barcelona. I think it's pretty utopic here, but you've spent quite some time here and mentioned the chaos. What is your position and what do you want for the world as an artist? Do you want the utopia? Do you find value in the chaos and a little bit of that dystopia? Like, how would you balance our world? Because as a kid, you're like, I want beauty in this gray.
Yes.
So as an adult, like, what do you want for the world having experienced these dualities?
I want people to care about each other, and understanding that community is really important, and then that the idea of being self-sufficient and completely independent is a lie, and that is just making us isolated from each other, and that what we actually need are connections and the like safety net and taking care of each other, then with everything it takes, like also through the difficult and also through the easy parts. So I just want people, I probably to be less selfish and be more aware of what is around them, and understand also that you just can't be self-sufficient and you need others. And so it's very basic, like what I'm saying probably, but there is only, like, the way world is going, the only way we can go through it is that we start to care of each other and help each other and create communities and create dependency between each other, and stop being just playing so much in our own like playground. Like,
right.
So it's again about connections. It's about I don't know, care.
But I think so. I think because I think you thought Denmark is utopia, and you think Barcelona is chaos.
I know, but Barcelona is not.
Barcelona is not chaos.
Not
I'm
chaos.
responding to
That's
her. I
what
think
I'm trying
Barcelona is
to-
much more utopic. In
That's
fact,
what I said. I'm experiencing the utopia of Barcelona.
because the two cities also have the same size,
Yes.
and but you can feel here this size has. Together with the light, which all my Copenhagen friends come here every 6 months or less even.
Yes, mine too.
Because of the light here. So we were talking a lot about the light in Barcelona. So, what will make Barcelona better? It's the connection. You think it's lacking, or it's already there, this connection and community?
It's not about better or worse. It's about different, definitely. When I said chaos, I was more thinking like, from Denmark, I moved to Spain. Spain as a country,
Spain
not
as a
like
country,
Barcelona
yeah.
particularly. I was looking for something.
The first time.
Yes. I was looking for something more chaotic, more spontaneous, more lively, or I don't know, like more temperament. So that was just my vision, my perception of Spain as a country and culture, its culture. Barcelona is chaotic in a way, but it's intense more than chaotic, I would say. And why is it better, we said? Or like, why is it different? Or why do I choose Barcelona and I don't choose Copenhagen? I think it is more spontaneous and authentic in my eyes. There is such a clash of cultures here, and it's just, it's in a good way completely enriching, because it's a place like on the map that so many different cultures are passing through, also historically and also nowadays. It's also like a bridge for a lot of people coming from Latin America, that they're making the city completely different as it would never be without them. And with all the music and dance and delicious food and wonderful creative ideas and so much so much action that I don't know. I'm for example surrounded by a lot of Argentinians, and they are just so intense, and they make so much. They make so much happen in the city. Like they're constantly inventing things and inviting to the events and making exhibitions and proposing ideas, and they're very creative. And they're also the biggest minority in Barcelona. So Barcelona would never be the same if there wouldn't be all those minorities. Argentinians are just an example. Of course, we have people from all around the world. So there is something about learning to live together in a place that is quite small. It's not like the biggest city, but full of differences, like people from all around the world that are making this city has the identity that it has. If it would be clearly Catalan place and only very close to
Spain in general.
To Spain, to tourism, to immigrants, it would have completely different character. So all of those people coming from different countries and looking for their life here because of different circumstances or reasons, they are making the city be so authentic, so rich in variety of the voices, even though obviously there are predominant voices. There is also some leadership of the city. There are a lot of intentions for the city that are not compatible maybe with some other ideas or so on. But I think it is very it is a city where you can come and find people that are similar to you and make things happen, very much. I learned here that there is such a big collaborative spirit that you just you have an idea and then but I can take picture of that, and I am working in a video and I could do this for you, and I have a space and we are looking for something. And I love to cook, so I could make some dinner, and suddenly you have a team of 10 people and you are doing it, and you are like, but what is this? And that was the spirit that made me want to be here, because it was also a city that for me, with the privileges I have and with the experience I have, it was a city that I could enter. It was not letting me stay outside. I didn't felt excluded. I didn't feel different. I didn't felt as in Denmark I did, that I didn't get it completely, that I am not like you are. Here I felt like everyone is different here, so let's do it. And it was it let me enter and materialize the ideas. And we were many people coming here with this, coming from somewhere, running away from somewhere, or looking for something. And so there was this spirit of bringing ideas to the ground. That is very contagious.
I think because to be honest, you look more Denmark than Barcelona. right? Like physically speaking,
Okay.
right? But when you come to Denmark, you're expecting you are in Denmark, and you get Denmark. And when you come to Barcelona, you're thinking you're coming to Spain, but you don't get Spain. You get the whole world. And I think this was the surprise for me here. I was visiting Barcelona every year for 20 years almost, but seeing it as a business tourist, let's say. And then when I moved here, I realized, oh, Argentina, oh, Pakistan,
Exactly.
so it's not only Spain. So I moved here thinking I'm moving to Spain, like to be with Spanish people in general. Like, and then realized, no,
don't
the
really.
fabric is much deeper than that. And so how much then of Barcelona do you see happening in your work? Do you see transpiring in your work?
A lot. Definitely a lot. Also, I was not aware, but I did one residency now in Slovakia this summer, and I built some installation in public space that was made by weaving. And I made some shapes that are very soft and curved and like, I don't know, soft and curved. And I showed it and I was like, yeah, obviously I'm gonna make it this way because this is also how I make my sculptures, because I really like organic and anthropomorphic shapes as well, and the things that are confusing, so you can interpret it in whatever way you want, or like it reminds you something but not fully, and you can read it and in different ways, but they always look like bodies that are mutating or whatever. And I did that in Slovakia, and we had this opening, and there were curators and people from the village that came, and from like artsy world, and they were like, but this is full on Barcelona. And I'm like, what? And they're like, like, have you ever seen like architecture in Barcelona, and have you seen Gaudi with all his like organic shapes and curves and just like like going against the straight lines and sharpness? I was like, don't say Gaudi, don't say this is so Barcelona. I just never realized it. Yeah. But I am like, even formally, even the shapes I'm making, they are completely 100% reflecting the city, and also the design scene and architecture scene that is in the city.
So it evolved with the city.
Well, then what would be your reply back for your Slovakian touch and thumbprints on your body of work? Do you feel like there is something inherently very visibly Slovakian, in your own opinion? Art critics and art world aside.
I think there is a lot of Slavic melancholy. A lot. That's something that it's like people, I don't really know people that experience that here.
Is there a clue for us to look for in your work, since we're not familiar with
again?
Like the Slavic melancholy, since we haven't experienced it? And
okay.
Is there like a clue we can look for in your work?
I think it's like this Slavic melancholy. I don't know. It's probably like, it is sometimes a little bit sad. Sometimes it's a little bit critical. Sometimes it feels hopeless. Sometimes it's like just like digging in all of these emotions that we are trying to avoid or express, or pretend that we don't experience them, and just like fearlessly digging through them. Like, okay, there was a loss, and I'm gonna experience like what my body feels, what are my thoughts, how I'm suddenly feeling that nothing makes sense, and that's how I'm feeling, and it's completely alright to say it. And it's not like here, when I'm more in contact with southern like spirit or mentality and so on, I always feel like I'm a bit depressive. But when I'm in Slovakia, I'm the most positive person in the circle. So it's crazy how different it is. But we have this mentality. We have this mentality of going inwards, of doing like very strong like self-reflection inside of our inside of ourselves, like we, the autumn and winter are really cold. They are dark. You don't go out. You don't socialize. You are going inwards.
Yeah.
Here, the sun, 24 hours, 30, 365 days per year. You have the sun. You go out. You enjoy the day. We have half of the year where we are not going out, and we are just like.
And I think you lean in sometimes into that melancholy. You go in it.
Yes, I go fully because I don't. At least I go fully. Sculpture is a sculpture, is a shape, it's object. But then there is a story to it, or there is something I write about it, or there is something I use it to communicate, and that's where the Slavic melancholy comes, because I'm talking about some topics that are more, the easiest to talk about
at the time, right?
I think you get it here in the music in this region. Or anyway, I like kind of sad melancholic music, and here like some kinds of flamenco or like
yes, definitely.
Some artists do this, so it's expressed in a different way, or like fado in Portugal and stuff like that. It gives you that space, but the sunshine.
Yeah, but I love.
It doesn't give you.
I'm so happy that they do that. I'm like,
exactly.
guys.
They balance it with the music, because the nature doesn't give us this space. It's always
yes.
And talking about the future and utopia, so this is something that I have been, kind of bothered about for a long time, and I don't see any improvement in it. Technology and the design that goes with technology is going harder and harder. It's not going soft at all. There is zero organic in the shape of an iPhone, right?
Yes,
or an earphone or whatever. And I was very inspired by this movie in 2003. I think it was Her. Where the voice of Scarlett Johansson as the AI and the guy, because all the devices there were made of wood or had some velvet on them, etc. So do you and on the other hand, like I said, the way it's going now, even Apple is pushing even more into glass, and even the new UI is called liquid glass, etc. So how do you see that art and also these kinds of methods are going to continue when everything else is moving to become more minimalistic and technology is growing as a percentage of our day-to-day?
Well, you would be surprised how many people in Barcelona are actually like going hardcore into combining artisany with technology. And there is this really big scene of makers in Barcelona. I think that's one of like strong characteristics of the city. Like the city is really innovative in design, and it goes really fast, and it's like reflecting on the global situation constantly. So of course now we are like the climate change, the waste, the like recycling, the biomaterials, what is the design answer to these questions? Or so biomaterials are one of the answers, no? And I know so many people here that are combining like the technological skills with actual like craftsmanship and natural materials, or like using huge 3D printers to create buildings out of clay, or robotic hands to work for wood in the most efficient way, and collecting the waste and then transferring it in another object. So I think that it is the answer would be to be as multidisciplinary that we can be, in a way, like mixing those, like the tech world and design world should be always linked with sustainability, natural resources, and respect towards natural resources, and then like the circular life of what we create and what is the waste, and these waste could be used to something else and so on. But I feel hopeful.
Yeah.
I understand, also because obviously I am living in my bubble, so I am not so much into like I don't see those huge tech companies. I don't see the huge car industry. I don't see it like I don't see huge business centers or whatever. I'm more like person living in a community, in little studios, seeing people doing their little projects and so on. But then when I go to design conferences of Barcelona, or I go to fairs, or just like 1 week ago there was a Barcelona Design Week, and all the projects, literally every single project I saw was linked to some natural material, or like recuperation of waste, or improving artisany with what is the potential of technology. So there is like positive way of thinking about, okay, technology can help us to improve things. And there was almost nothing that was like all of the projects were reflecting on the moment that we found ourselves in, and they were of course like trying to be sustainable and as ecological as it gets. Many times it's just a label that helps you to be participating in these conferences, but the overall feeling of the fairs or conferences that I attended was hopeful.
That's really interesting, because art usually is not usually, some art is a criticism,
Yes.
or, tries to highlight a dialogue around where we are going.
Yes.
And I think you and I are probably a little bit more critical as technologists of technologies than Barcelona artists.
No, my
Of where
question
it's
is
going.
like, we love that, yet the phone is metallic and the cover is a black plastic, and the reason is that art sometimes doesn't make sense commercially on the scalability or the manufacturing for it to actually become mass. That's the problem, like, so good things that we feel that are organic doesn't go easily into the mass. But one more technology question is, because you cannot, what is the impact? Because we are feeling it everywhere, because we have a creative agency as well, and we're getting AI now from everywhere. So how much have you played with it, or have you seen people do things that you like or you don't like with AI?
My last project I used AI. I was in one residency in Italy, and I was wandering around the village and capturing the like elements, like decorative elements that are completely unnecessary, but they are there just to bring beauty to the spaces, and like old craftsmanship and so on. And I just wanted, because it's a village that it's just like a common place. It doesn't have really like strong cultural center, or they have their traditions and so on, but they don't really, like, I felt like I want to document it before it disappears. And then I was drawing on it, and then I was like analyzing the shapes and making sketches and making like a little plan with very simple black line drawings. And then I was passing it through AI, and I was giving different prompts to AI to help me to take these forms and turn them into possible sculptures that would, just like take the shape from its context and make it make it alive again, no? Because I found many that were like broken or whatever, so I was adding some
The completeness of it.
I was fixing the shapes and so on, and then I passed it through one graphic program with AI, and I was like, okay, let's make a 3D object out of it, let's give it volume, let's give it ceramic finishing touches, like let's give it some. So I was going through it, and I found really beautiful way how to turn them into ceramic sculptures and digital ceramic sculptures, obviously. And I felt so guilty. I felt really guilty, and I was like, this is so crazy, because I'm aware that AI and like that is not just like invisible tool. It's a tool that is like a super I don't know in English, but it's like very it needs a lot to be running, and it needs a lot of energy, it needs a lot of water, a lot of resources, and it is getting bigger and bigger, and like the pictures we are seeing of all these centers are just scary. And there I was doing my little project, like making my little sculptures in this tiny village in Italy, feeling completely like guilty and not knowing where to find my ground. Like, am I gonna go with the like tendencies, and I'm gonna realize that okay, in this moment this is the tool, and this is the tool everyone is using, and it's being used well. It's being used for like other things, but what am I gonna do? Am I gonna ignore it? Am I gonna ignore the possibility that it gives me? Am I not? And I started like I never came back to it. I have to find my attitude, like my perspective on it, like because I don't know yet.
I think it's creativity too. Like when you went to Denmark the first time and they gave you cameras and stuff that you didn't have access to, you do the best with it, and other people won't.
All these people that were with craft, we are really trying to use the resources that are around us, that are tangible, that are circular in a way that. There is something about these slow processes and repetition of simple gesture, and make it like it's a radical choice to make something that takes so much time in a world that we live in that is so fast, that there is instant gratification everywhere, that you can just like skip steps to get to your results. Choosing craft, like choosing ceramics or choosing weaving or choosing woodwork, is very like a radical choice in a way, because you are making something that is so slow, like it is so slow, and it is maybe some intention also to stop the time, no, like to make it so slower because it's going so fast. So then it's very contradictory to using AI, because of all the impact, environmental impact that it has, and so on. So it is tricky. I don't know.
Unless maybe you use it for the method, but you then execute yourself the way you do normally.
That was what I wanted.
Yeah.
But I think
anyway.
But you stopped at the outcome.
Anyway, I felt guilty.
Interesting.
You're also saying that, no, by using the AI, it is, you know, by running those processes, you're affecting the environment and things. But I think it's a question that we're all asking. How do we kind of find that middle ground of augmenting our skill set and our capability and our artistic vision for some of us with the tool, and how to also be conscious and question its impact.
And we cannot deny the progress. Like these tools are the new tools, and we have them around us. So to ignore it is also like doesn't really make sense. So I am always there, like really confused about those.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's there.
As are we. We had two conversations on our podcast series about our own confusion. Like even as technologists, like we don't have the answer. But I think it's in the questioning.
We have much more questions than answers.
Exactly,
Thing, you know,
and
like
bringing in different
is having these questions.
Yeah,
I think. Even if we are hardcore tech people like me, you know. But okay, we spoke about feelings, and music is one best way to express feelings. So we wanted to ask you actually, to give us a song or a tune that you feel, helps you go through the day or focus.
Lift your spirit, take you into melancholy.
On the speaker,
oh wow,
once
like
you tell
this?
us what it is.
In real time.
But take your time, no stress. I need a few.
I am not really like what I do in my free time is that there is a friend of mine that suggested this beautiful station, like a platform that is a radio. It's online radio, and it's called NTS. It's London based. And they are just letting you explore so much new sound and music, and I am constantly listening to that. So there is no like it's really difficult to just like identify or crack the wall, like to choose a fragment, you know, to choose to choose one song, because I'm very like, maybe that's not
NTS.live, that's it.
See, and then because
we can
what
we
happens
can discover
there,
one song from them. You can we can just play.
We can just
That's the
maybe
right
play,
one?
because what I
Yeah.
like about
Let's
it
do
is that
that.
it is a radio.
Yeah.
So there are people talking, and it is live, and it is like surprising sometimes. And then you explore new things that you would not, your algorithm wouldn't let you discover them. And then there's something beautiful about listening to the radio is in all times, and that someone is choosing the songs, and then you, wow, this one was really nice. This one is not really, but another one it is.
Yeah.
And so
Let's
that's
see what they're playing.
what I'm using.
Yeah.
It sounds like they
lately.
have a range. Like, is it
They
different
have-
genres?
See,
included?
a lot,
How
and
cool.
and very alternative music and really wide spectrum of different sounds. And I don't know, I just love it. I felt like, whoa, there is so much more out there when I discovered this radio.
That's really fun.
When I got recommended this this
That's
radio.
good. We'll share a link with our listeners and viewers. Any final questions?
I have so many more questions, but we unfortunately ran out of time.
Wow, that was quick.
That was
really
quick. And you took us to your past, your present, and your future, and it's such an honor for us to be able to, beyond the writing that you share, be able to dig a little bit deeper. So thank you so much, Majka, for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you to our audience for joining in and listening. And we hope that you discover more of Majka's work, because it is a varied body of work that we're excited to continue exploring ourselves. Thank you, Ziad.
Thank you, Majka. See you soon, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.